Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Torrance. I'm Jin Chen.
And I'm Ben McCain. Thanks for joining us. The Armed Forces Day Parade is an annual tradition that honors the legacy of the United States Armed Forces.
The parade has been making its way through our city for 52 years, and Torrance is one of the few cities in the U.S. designated by the Department of Defense to host an Armed Forces Day Parade. It also has the distinction of being the nation's longest-running military parade sponsored by any city in America.
And the parade also has the distinction of being one of the most highly anticipated events held here in Torrance. Part of that excitement comes from learning which branch of the armed forces will be honored. And this year, it's the U.S. Army.
That's right. More than 235 years ago, the United States Army was established to defend our nation. As the largest branch of the armed forces, the Army is responsible for land-based military operations. It's also the oldest branch of the military with roots that date back to the Revolutionary War. That rich history, both past and current, was on display at the Del Amo Fashion Center. The military exhibit helps kick off all the weekend celebrations. Let's go out to reporter Jennifer Wade for more.
From aircraft to vehicles to support equipment, the military exhibit gave visitors 3 days of viewing and exploring, and many of these same vehicles were on double duty. I'm standing in front of one of the mini fire trucks that just finished its round in the parade and is now featured at the military exhibit in Del Amo Mall. We caught up with Amanda Reese and her sons waiting for an inside look at one of the tanks. Reese has been coming to the event for the last 25 years. She started the tradition with her parents. Now she is able to take her own children, and her kids can't get enough of the fun.
Oh, they love it. They like getting their face painted and doing the hands-on and honking the horns.
And visitors can do more than just look. Attendees were able to climb inside vehicles and try on the uniforms. Participants left with a better understanding of what the armed forces do and what kind of equipment they use every day.
It's a very good opportunity in that for people to come out and see in that what basically what their money is going for, who mans these things and that, how they do things.
This is Jennifer Wade for CitiCABLE.
Thanks, Lauren. Saturday, May 21st is officially Armed Forces Day, and reveille is the bugle call associated with the military. It's used to wake personnel at sunrise. Thankfully, on Armed Forces Day, the Army sounded off a bit later than usual. Reporter Shante Passmore takes us to their wake-up call and the raising of the colors.
A sea of white, blue, and beige military uniformed personnel rehearsed before the reveille ceremony began. The occasion? The much-anticipated arrival of Grand Marshal General Robert W. Cohn. Details still needed to be worked out before the four-star general's arrival. The welcome salute to the honorary had to be right, the musical pitch on key, and of course, the flag raised perfectly.
The reveille ceremony has officially kicked off the Armed Forces Day Parade, which has been a long-standing Torrance tradition.
The word reveille means wake up in French and is often used to rouse up military personnel at sunrise. Here in Torrance, the reveille ceremony starts the weekend-long event. The celebration features music, exhibits, food, and most importantly, the parade. And the trumpets horned right on time as the Grand Marshal made his way to the stage. While this year's recognized branch is the U.S. Army, all military branches were present at this special roll call. The Grand Marshal's morale speech gave the service people a chance to take their minds off the wars.
We are in fact a joint force, a united force, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard as you stand here. This is how we fight when we're downrange. For those of you who've been downrange, and I presume most of you have, understand that what we bring together as a force, the capabilities, cannot be beat.
The Grand Marshal welcomed old and new faces alike as he expressed his excitement surrounding the day's festivities.
It's an incredible event because it shows the tremendous support that we as a joint force have in American society, more in particular though here in Southern California and Torrance specifically. What you're going to see today is absolutely inspiring when you see the people come out to see your equipment. When you get an opportunity to talk to them, they will thank you for your service.
This is so inspirational to be a soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, and Coast Guardsman and see the support that we have from the community is just unbelievable.
Inspiration was the word of the hour at the Reveille ceremony, reminding servicemen and women why they enlisted in the first place. To see that Star-Spangled Banner wave. For This Week in Torrance, I'm Shantae Passmore.
Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, we're bringing you exclusive coverage of the 52nd Annual Armed Forces Day Parade celebration. Boot camp is now a common way to describe any fast and tough training. But the term originally comes from the Army's 10 weeks of basic training. This is where recruits learn the fundamentals of being a soldier, from combat techniques to the proper way to address a superior. It's also where they undergo rigorous training, physical training, to prepare their bodies for combat. Recruits got an early taste of what boot camp might be like at the annual family barbecue. Reporter Shantae Passmore tells us why the crowd was so impressed.
Right! Hey! Having a drill sergeant yell in your face after eating a juicy burger isn't normal, but definitely not unheard of, especially if you're at the annual Armed Forces Day family barbecue. Now, not all crowdgoers had to drop and give 20. Just the high school and college seniors who enlisted to join the military after graduating. But these future servicemen and women are tough, as one enlistee explains what he's excited for.
Getting yelled at by drill instructors. I want to experience that and see how I react under that type of pressure.
I'm joining the Marine Corps because I want to be part of something bigger, and I want to challenge, and a lot of my friends and family that really support the military, and I just feel like it's something that I've been called to do.
This is the first extended period of time where young Americans are volunteering for military service. While the enlistees were busy taking orders, the real party was on the other side of the park. Military personnel formed long lines along the sidewalks, but no one seemed to mind, at least not this day.
Nearly 3,000 hot dogs and hamburgers are being cooked for servicemen and their families. But of course, no family barbecue is ever complete without some good music.
Hey Jude, don't be afraid. You were made to go out and get her.
And what do the servicemen and women think of the family barbecue exclusively held for them?
It feels great to be recognized as soldiers and to be working as together, like you said, in the joint forces. Because it's not just about the Army, it's, Air Force, Coast Guard, Navy, Marines. We all make it happen together as a joint force. And that's what makes it a great thing to work together.
So far, it's really nice. Got good entertainment. Everyone's mingling and enjoying each other's company. I enjoy it so far.
Only at the Armed Forces Day family barbecue will you see drill sergeants, good food, and good music combined for a good reason. And that's to show the city's appreciation for America's joint forces. For This Week in Torrance, I'm Shantae Passmore.
Reporter Jacqueline Shepard tells us just how the city puts it all together.
Most of us just enjoyed the finished product, but troops, city officials, and police officers labored behind the scenes to prepare for this year's Armed Forces Day.
Well, the police department primarily organizes the Armed Forces Day, but it's a citywide event. From fleet services to the transit folks to public works to city hall to the fire department, it's clearly a citywide event.
We're an Army Reserve band, so we usually come in 1 weekend a month and then 2 weeks in the summer. So we're constantly rehearsing this ceremonial music, and it's pretty much prepared. The details, which we work out, the order of events and that we actually did this morning right before we got started.
As always, all 5 military branches attended this year's event, and General Cohn reminded soldiers they still had a job to do during the celebration.
What we bring together as a force, the capabilities cannot be beat. And I think that's an important message that you convey to the American people as they come through.
Torrance not only has the longest running Armed Forces celebration, it also has the largest. And bringing this event together year after year is no easy task.
Believe it or not, the organization of the parade is a year-long event. We'll have our after action for this year in the first week in June. We start having internal parade meetings as early as September.
For the past 8 years, one of Torrance's own does his part to make sure pilots land safely for the event.
I'm a Torrance resident. I'm an Air Force reservist, an active Air Force reservist, so I fly KC-135s in my reserve job. And just living here in Torrance for so many years, got to know the people of Torrance, the city officials that put on this wonderful parade year in and year out. And I just kind of fell into this. One year they said, hey, could you help us not only with the aerial flyovers on the parade day, but also in getting the helicopters to land exactly where we need them.
Different from Veterans Day and Memorial Day, this day celebrates the men and women who are currently serving our country.
Just absolutely phenomenal that this city honors all those that wear the uniform today to protect our freedoms and to protect our way of life, and that the whole city and all Southern California is invited to come out here and celebrate that and just have a great time and see what their tax dollars are invested in, all the equipment that's out here and the men and women that are out here.
For those behind the scenes, the work was long and tiring, but there was no complaining, just diligence and an overwhelming sense of pride.
I have a lot of friends that are serving right now, and I'm proud of what I do. I love my job, and I love my country.
I've been deployed, haven't been shot at, thankfully, but I've been deployed a few times, and it's a sacrifice, but it's also, you know, we all feel proud to do it.
It's one of the big events we do citywide that really shows that we are a City of Torrance family, that it's all of us coming together to honor the men and women of the U.S. military for all that they do for us.
And though Armed Forces Day only comes once a year, Torrance worked hard to make sure men and women in the armed forces felt appreciated.
I was a recruiter before I was a pilot, and it's sad to see the people that do not care for us, do not like us. And if they do, that's fine, but, you know, it's nice to see support.
For Torrance CitiCABLE, I'm Jacqueline Shepard.
Locals who come out for the weekend events have a lot to see and do, but those men and women who are part of the Armed Forces Day celebration have a long weekend ahead of them. And while they may be working with hearts full of appreciation from residents, they were also working with bellies full. Reporter Alexa Sita explains.
This Army tent was not part of the military exhibit.
Welcome to our Bob Hope USO food tent. All the restaurants throughout the city of Torrance have donated food over our Friday, Saturday, and Sunday Armed Forces weekend here.
This is the second year for the USO food tent. The Daily Breeze partnered with the city and the LA chapter of the USO to gather food donations from several South Bay restaurants. Companies like Fatburger also brought out their food trucks to welcome troops to Torrance.
And I've been doing military functions and have been in the military for a long time, and it's the first time ever I experienced something like this, so it's a wonderful surprise.
And thanks to charitable local businesses, there was enough food for the soldiers and everything else that serves the country. For Torrance CitiCABLE, I'm Alexa Sita.
Believe it or not, back in 1979, the Armed Forces Day Parade was almost canceled due to lack of funds. And in this time of economic difficulty, cuts have been made to the Armed Forces Day funding. But you'd never know it from this year's parade. Reporter Jennifer Wade shows us why this year's parade was better than ever.
Whether they have been coming to the parade since they were kids or have lost a loved one in a past war, the parade was a special day for everyone. And with 60,000 spectators lining Torrance Boulevard, the parade was a display of support for the armed forces.
I love coming out here and seeing our troops and showing how we support them, and it's really a great way to spend an afternoon.
The exciting lineup of over 100 entries included military vehicles and units, active and reserve, veterans, local school marching bands, and drill teams. Not only is the parade famous in Torrance, but it is also known as the longest-running Armed Forces Day parade in the nation. And with the Army as this year's honored branch, there was one special part of the parade to look forward to.
My favorite thing about the parade is actually being able to see these people that served long ago.
For many parade goers, the celebration hit close to home, since family members and loved ones are serving or have served our country.
My father was in the United States Marine Corps, and my grandfather was in World War I. I have a brother that was in Vietnam, so I come from a long history of veterans.
I'm proud of serving, I'm proud of everybody that serves.
And despite the city cutting $30,000 from the parade's budget, the event was still a success.
I thought it was fantastic. I really did. I've been for several years, and this is the biggest and best yet.
It's a very patriotic event, and I sure hope that it continues over the years. I hope that our funding does continue.
This is Jennifer Wade for CitiCABLE.